I'm going to introduce our last presenter for today, who has found inspiration for her honors thesis in her passion for theater. Madeleine Onderak came to UD from Newburgh, Indiana, because she wanted to be in the core program. As an English major, she has worked with Dr. Kirsten Mendoza on a thesis project, which is on the expected behavior of early modern British women and the consequences of deviating from those standards. And she is studying that subject through two plays of Shakespeare. Those plays are Much Ado About Nothing and The Taming of the Shrew, about which she's also going to talk in a TED Talk today. Aside from this research, Madeleine loves learning new languages, and that's why she's minoring in Slavic studies and in German. Her professional goal is to be a prosecutor, and after graduating from UD, she will not slow down, but she will attend law school in Indiana University in Indianapolis. Thank you. Great achievement. And here's Madeleine.
I love live theater. I think it's so exciting to watch actors tell a story on stage right in front of you. So when I traveled to London in the summer of 2024, I knew I had to make a visit to the Globe Theatre, a replica of Shakespeare's own playhouse, and watch their summer plays. As I expected, the actors were incredible, but to my surprise, I found that some of the performances made me uncomfortable. One play in particular was so discomforting and unique that I completely changed my project to be about it. So what was this play that I found so striking? It's called The Taming of the Shrew. Some of you may have watched a production, or perhaps had to read it for school. And even if you don't know this play, it's been very influential in the romantic comedy genre. Popular films such as 10 Things I Hate About You and Season 2 of Bridgerton are both inspired by The Taming, for example. Now, the plot of The Taming of the Shrew is deceptively simple. It's about two sisters, Catherine and Bianca. Catherine is called a shrew. She is outspoken, rude, and has a tendency to scold others, including men. Her sister Bianca is the complete opposite. Bianca has many suitors, but she cannot marry until Catherine, the older sister, does. This is a problem. Catherine is so unlikable that no man wants to marry her. That is, until Petruchio enters the scene. Petruchio declares that he will marry Catherine, and not only that, but he will fix her behavior and turn her into the perfect wife. Although Catherine initially dislikes Petruchio, they end the play as a happy couple. Now, what I've just described seems like a fairly normal romance plot, nothing problematic or uncomfortable. And that's how the play is typically portrayed. The Taming of the Shrew is a great love story, a hilarious romance. Catherine's behavior, although amusing, is clearly in need of correction, and Petruchio is the charismatic love interest who changes her for the better. That's how the play has largely been staged since the 1590s, and that's the story the audience members have come to expect. However, let's talk about what actually happens in The Taming of the Shrew. Petruchio says that he will change Catherine, for I am he born to tame you, Kate, and bring you from a wild Kate to a Kate conformable as other household Kates. But how does Petruchio accomplish such a drastic change with such an unruly wife? Well, first he embarrasses Catherine at their wedding by wearing a ridiculous outfit. This is what Petruchio gets married in. As you can see, it's not exactly respectful. Next, Petruchio isolates Catherine from her home and family despite her protests. He throws food in the air and proceeds to starve Catherine, refuses her new clothing, and prevents her from sleeping. He plays games that are actually just gaslighting. For example, Petruchio says that Catherine cannot eat because the food is burnt. It is not. Or insists that he's looking at the moon. He's actually looking at the sun. It is only when Catherine plays along that she is allowed to visit home. Now, by modern understandings, we can recognize Petruchio's behavior as domestic, emotional, and physical abuse. Petruchio's methods of taming are barbaric, but are played for comedy. And even on occasions when the play is criticized for its gender dynamics, it is not so boldly labeled as domestic abuse. The Summer Globe production took a unique approach in their direction of this play. Typically, productions make Petruchio a likable character. They lean into the comedy of the play, such as through slapstick or witty banter, or they excuse Petruchio's actions by making Catherine more aggressive or showing her as attracted to Petruchio from the very beginning. For example, here is Meryl Streep and Raul Julia in a production of The Taming of the Shrew. We can see that Catherine is made to appear aggressive. She is lifting a stool above her head in order to smack Petruchio with it. We can also see that Petruchio had thrown Catherine to the ground and is holding her leg so she cannot get up. But Catherine's smiling, so it's okay. Frankly, such portrayals run the risk of romanticizing domestic abuse by making it seem sexy or funny. But the 2024 Globe production refused to do this and made it absolutely clear that this is not a love story. Catherine is the bruised victim of the intimidating and volatile Petruchio. She isn't really a shrew. Her behavior is like that of an ordinary modern woman. But this Globe production still managed to be a comedy. I found myself laughing throughout the play. But it was also thought-provoking. It made the audience question whether this play should be laughed at. Is it really funny that Catherine can't eat? Should I be laughing when Petruchio beats his servants? There were several moments throughout the play where the audience enthusiastically laughed at as a gag, but as the bit continued, the laughter died out, and Petruchio's abuses continued in complete silence instead. This was a feminist interpretation that portrayed the realities of Shakespeare's text without villainizing Catherine or excusing Petruchio for the sake of romance. But not everyone loved this play as much as I did. It actually got mixed reviews. This is not the Catherine and Petruchio love story the audience members have come to expect. The seasoned theatergoers next to me did not laugh once and actually did not come back after intermission. And they're not the only example of people not liking this performance. Several reviewers thought the play was too confusing, disappointing, and deviating from the spirit of Shakespeare's story. In the words of one audience member, a stupid interpretation. But these reactions are exactly why the Globe performance was so important. We need to change our interpretation of this play. The Taming of the Shrew is a reflection of early modern ideals for how women should behave. In Elizabethan times, women were expected to be obedient, meek, chaste, submissive, and forgiving of men's violence. That is why the sister Bianca, who exemplifies these traits, has many suitors. But Catherine, who is assertive and opinionated, must be tamed into an agreeable, obedient, and submissive wife. Such expectations for women's behavior, which are the entire justification for the plot of The Taming of the Shrew, are outdated and sexist. And yet, this play is still taught and still performed as a love story, and audiences want it to be a love story. It's easier to cheer when the lovers kiss than watch a woman be abused on stage. But we need to be more critical of the media we consume and ask ourselves what we are willing to excuse, especially in the name of comedy. What exactly is the spirit of Shakespeare? Just because something is intended as a joke, it doesn't mean that we have to find it funny. We need to ask ourselves, why is this acceptable? Why do we laugh at these jokes? Are we truly comfortable with it? Something may be popular or considered a classic, but that doesn't mean that we should accept its offensive or problematic aspects. And unfortunately, sexism in comedy wasn't only a problem in Shakespeare's time. For example, in the popular sitcom MASH, the character Margaret, nicknamed Hot Lips, is almost raped as her screams and struggles are nearly drowned out by the laugh track. In Friends, Ross fires a male nanny because childcare is a woman's responsibility. In the very first episode of Seinfeld, Jerry jokes that It's women's own fault that they get catcalled. Women are just so confusing that men don't know what else to do. Are these jokes funny? The audience laughs. And think about how many men were outraged by the recent Barbie movie, where women were the characters with authority and men were the dumb blondes. Women have been dealing with this for centuries. Now, we can still learn from and enjoy older works while also confronting offensive themes. It shouldn't take 400 years to finally acknowledge misogyny and abuse in popular media, and especially if it involves the stories, like the Taming of the Shrew, that occupy beloved places in our culture. Thank you.